I'm going to speak to you today about Topsail Island in North Carolina. Now, most of us, if you think about it, that we've been to an island resort or a beach resort where all we had to do was get up in the morning, grab our cup of coffee, and slip out to the balcony and look out at the waves coming in over the sand. Well, I was fortunate enough to get to live like that for a few years. And in North Carolina, it was kind of a deserted island. We only had about 500 local homes on the island. The island was 26 miles long, and it's a home to one of the sea turtle rescues, the only one that was in the state. So it's pretty interesting things there. It also was known for its history about, it had pirates in the early 1700s. And if you go to the next slide, we'll see the picture of the island. See how long and narrow the island is? It's 26 miles from end to end. And if you look at the very end of it, it's elevated a little. And the pirates used to hide around the backside of the cove, and when the merchants would come in, they would literally go and attack their ships, kind of like what they're doing right now, the modern day fire. But they started to catch on. After a while, the merchants would see the tops of the sails peeking over the end of that island, and that's how they got its name, Topsail Island. So then they caught on to them. Then, in World War II, the government came in and they took over the island. So they used it just to store missiles. So you can imagine this is a deserted island, and this is like the only residents that were there. Okay. Now, it is a big vacation spot, and they do have about 7,000 tourists that come in every year for the vacationers. But the really neat part about Topsail Island is the difference between spring break, which is in Surf City, in the middle of the island, and the deserted island, which is my favorite part, is about 8 miles. So you can have both, the best of both worlds. Okay. This is one of the watchtowers. This is still there. It's from World War II when they had all their missiles and stuff there from the island that the government used. They built these towers to watch the missiles as they launched them. You will see much of the island is still the way it is today. They kept it preserved so that the integrity of the island was not overrun and turned into a big tourist place. And that's another one of the things that I really like about it. There's long stretches, miles, where you won't see a home on either side. I like this picture because it showed the driftwood that had drifted up on the beach, and it was beautiful. Now, this is the big fishing community. So at the end of the island, there's this gigantic bridge in Sneed's Ferry that the boats have to be able to go under. So it's a huge arch, and there's fishermen everywhere. There's some pretty good storms that come up on Topsail Island, and if you have a beachfront home like I did, where our house was just right on the beach on stilts, you can see those storms come in. They look a little intimidating. This is some of the water world, and that's not spelled right, but it wouldn't let me correct it in 2003. But these are really interesting because they actually come right up out of the water, and they never come to land. So you get to see that, but it never gets to harm you. It's pretty amazing. Okay. But you know, after the storm, you have the rainbow, and everything calms down, and it turns really green, but it's still really pretty. This is the pier that's about a mile from my home where I live. Every evening I would walk a mile down to the pier, and then I would walk home. But the view would change so drastically. You'd never see the same colors on the water. It took about 15, 20 minutes, but you could just watch all the colors as they would fade and turn. This is a picture that my brother-in-law actually took, and we kind of did it in HDR, but it was really pretty. But that's an evening sunset on the beach on the way home. Topsail Island is really beautiful if you're a nature lover. If you like the sun and the sand. One time I got onto the island when I first came there. I had my husband drop me off because we were at the military base, which is just off-site over in Sneed's Ferry, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And there's a bunch of people there. So if you're an extroverted person, you would go there. And if you're an introverted person, you might enjoy something more like this. I think it's a inspired me to live here. This is my view from my new home. And it looks a lot like the home that I had there, and I really loved it. And that is why I chose South Carolina. Because I think everybody should get wetlands. It's something beautiful. And if you want a lot of people, you have a lot of people. And if you don't, you have a